Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on March 24th, 2022 at approximately 9:10 p.m. PST. A couple of days ago, we were talking about how to get your finances in order, as in which bills are which. Now, from there, we have to take a look at another issue. How do you get your bank account to come up? Well, the first trick with getting your bank account to come up, and I'm going to hopefully find this here, but apparently not. The first trick to getting your bank account to come up is take a sheet of paper on, and I've showed this to you in the past. Figure out what your baseline requirement is to run your household. Okay. Now, this works really well, especially if you've got an hourly wage. Okay, but you figure out what your requirement is, and you write down on a sheet of paper, I have legally acquired a minimum of X dollars by by the last day of the month at 1 minute to midnight. Now that X is whatever it is you require to run your house. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with your own home with a static income that doesn't have a lot of variables, like for instance, if you are on social assistance or a fixed income, okay, you're pretty much going to be running we're going to deal with how to change that in a future cast, okay, in a future video. But if you've got a regular income, okay, as in you're on either an hourly wage or piecework, it's easy to increase it. Okay, because every month when you hit that target, once you hit that target, then for the next month, you add one regular, either one average sale or 1 hour's wage to that total. That way you're pushing the limit. Now, for me, because what are we, 6 months back, I started off with my numbers sitting at 2,500, which is what I require. Okay, at present, I am sitting at 3,500 a month that I'm aiming at. Now, I pulled it off again this month. I've made that goal. And because I've made that, because I've reached that goal, for April, I will be upping that goal by another, probably, depending on how much I made it by, I'll be increasing that goal again by anywhere from $50 to $100. I caution you, don't increase it too far, because if you increase it too far, what you're going to do is you're going to discourage yourself in all likelihood, because it's really unfortunate and can be disconcerting. No time. And can be disconcerting if you don't reach the goals you set for yourself. This is why you set your goals low. Okay, but continually bring them up a little. Now, I've been raising in the first 5 months. I raised my volume, my requirement, or my goal, if you will. Let's just see if we've got that open. Nope, that is not what we need. I'm just going to open up this other file that I've got. This is a live recording, by the way, meaning that when I get done the video, I double check the date and make sure that it's right, and then I just post it as is. Now, what I'm looking at here is that file. There it is. Okay. Now, from that end, okay, I look back and where were we? Okay. In September of last year, I actually set it at 2,000. Then I reworked it and upped it to 2,500. Okay, because I made it way over the 2,000. In November, I brought it up to 3,000. In December to 3,300. You'll notice I brought the volume, the amount I was targeting down substantially as far as sudden increase goes. In January, I had set it at 3,400. In February, I set it at 35, but in February, I had 2 extra bills. My yearly insurance and my both for home and for the car. Okay, so I ended up falling short. So, because I didn't meet the 3,500 in February, I put it to 3,500 in March. I just left it at the same mark. So yes, it climbed and climbed and then plateaued for a minute. But in March, I shattered that. Okay. And I will take a look at it as I get to the end of the month here and see what I actually made. Okay, and I will increase that value again. Now, that said, that handles the home front. Now, if you're running a business, okay, there's always this question of when is the best time to expand? So let's go back to the same idea. You set a target. Okay, for your business. Figure out what the overhead is for the business. And that's the target you start with. And then every month you increase that target a little. In this way, what will happen is you'll be drawing that energy out of the upper levels into the material world where it can be made manifest. This, in turn, will encourage the energy to build up and to bring in a higher cash flow. Okay, now I'm doing the same thing with my business. Okay, not at the same volume. Of course, in all fairness, I haven't been putting a lot of effort into the business side of it. I'm holding its own. I've got contracts. I'm making the goals. But now I'm starting to really push that side of it as well. So I expect that to grow as well. Okay. Now, the neat part about it is when you get a business that's growing, one of the first things that people start doing as soon as they get a business in place is I want to be able to expand. I want to get bigger. Well, the first trick with a business is to figure out how much you really desire. Okay, the same thing really applies, and I think that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to stop myself before I get carried away. Oh, by the way, something I should have said right at the beginning. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. It will be appreciated because apparently it has something to do with the Yahoo value, with the YouTube, with their algorithm, as far as when the videos come up. And I did return to this world, to this lifetime, with one very specific purpose, and that is to spread a simple message to people, to everybody in existence. That is that working together, we can make this a better world for everybody. Now, just quickly, remember, when I was talking a couple of days ago, when you first get your paycheck in, take 1% off the top for every member of the family in the household. Okay, because they've got to work together with you in order to make things work. But taking that 1%, we're talking $1 out of every full 100. Okay, taking that to you before you pay your bills, if at all possible. Okay, it will change the feeling of the energy in your finances from I'm working to pay my bills to I'm working and paying my bills. Okay, that will make all the difference in the world for you as you strive to get things in order. Now, when you're looking at your household, okay, do not forget to have a way of dealing with savings. Okay, now for me, the way I use it is I take a look at my pay stub. Okay, now again, this applies to whether you've got to put money aside for savings, even if you're on a limited income. Now, that savings may not be much. Okay. I was told at one point that credit is an absolute killer when you look at the interest, which it is. Okay. It absolutely is an absolute killer. But if you don't have some money put aside for entertainment, And sad to say, something you got to realize is when we're talking entertainment, we are talking luxuries. Okay, in quite often, and you've got to make sometimes you have to make a decision. For me to actually save the money I've been able to over the last little while, I had to really make that decision that I was going to quit spending so much at the restaurant. Now, I hate cooking. I really do, and I'm not good at it. So I cook if I have to, and that's it. Well, that was my downfall. But make sure you put money aside to deal with some savings so that at some point you can have a bit of a break. Now, this does not have to be a lot. Okay, and how you save it, it can be done through a non what am I looking for? Service charge, a non-service charge bank account. I don't know if they even exist. One of the things I'm going to be doing, I think, is I'm going to go and talk to the credit union, because that way not only can I have a bank account, if I understand it right, it means that I will also be able to have an investment at the same time. Now, with that in mind, okay, it stands to reason if I'm investing, and this is the primary thing to look at when it comes to investment. Okay, you have to look at you. You've got to invest in you. Be that in your education, in your career, maybe it's in acquiring things that you haven't had. Okay, Lord knows if you look around, I got way too much stuff that I don't require. But make sure you get some money put aside for savings now, even if it is only 1% of your income. Okay, and if you notice, we're talking 1%. So for a single person, if you take 1% and put it aside for you for mad money right off the bat, and make one of your bills, like you've got a list of bills, and we went through that a couple of days ago. Do not forget, where it comes to savings, to me, savings is a bill. It's something you've got to put money into to make sure it grows. Okay, in order to get ahead. So what I'm looking at, and I figured out how to do it on the paper now, what I'm looking at is taking that money, putting it in a bank account that is actually growing nicely, okay, that it won't come out of, and leave it sit there until I figure out what to do with it. But when it comes to savings, something to keep in mind, if you can do it, and again, credit cards, they're great for short term. But let me see here. No, I'm not going to pull that out. I'm not going to try and get you to read the bill, but on many receipts, if you look at the bottom of them, they will tell you that you saved X number of dollars. Well, here's the thing. If you went to a grocery store and you saved $20 because of coupons or because of discounts and store sales and what have you, if you save that, most people, what they'll do is they'll take that money and spend it somewhere else. What works far better in the way of savings is when you look at the bottom of that bill and it says you saved X number of dollars, move that X number of dollars into a secured bank account, okay, and leave it there. That makes it savings, okay, and that is, quite frankly, like I've got a tax-free savings account, and quite frankly, as soon as payday hits, I'm going to go back through the receipts that I've got, because I haven't done it yet, so I got to catch up. But I'm going to go back through my receipts, find out how much I saved, and move it into that account where it can sit there until it can be put in the proper investment. But as a tax-free savings account, it means that I won't be paying interest on it. It also means that because it is not readily accessible, it means that it will start growing of its own accord without a big problem. This is the purpose of savings, to get money put aside. Now I'll be 59 in a month and a half now. roughly. Yeah, today's the 24th, so month and a half, month and 3 weeks, something like that. May 13th. In any event, put the money aside. If it says at the bottom of your receipt, if it says somewhere on the receipt, it says you saved X dollars. That money is not saved if you put it in your pocket and spend it on something else. Okay, consider it already gone. Move it into a savings account because regardless of how old you are, you still have to take a look at your retirement. Because if things are going the way that I think they are, and usually I'm pretty solid on this, as we get older, there are not as many kids being born, which means it's a matter of numbers. The money that was there that you're expecting to be able to support you when you retire may not be there. So plan for the eventuality that it may not be, that you're the only one that can deal with it. Now, I'm getting started real late in life. I encourage you, especially if you're in your late teens, early 20s, get on it. There's an old saying, if I knew then what I know now, I'd have been a multimillionaire years ago. But I frankly could have cared less, possibly, about the money. Now I know its importance. I know what it accommodates. It doesn't buy you a bunch of stuff. It buys you peace of mind. Okay, if you've got your bills all paid, your rent or your mortgage paid, and in all fairness, your rent or your mortgage are the same thing. Okay, if they're all paid and you've got food in your house, your stress level drops significantly. I know this from practical experience. So we have to look at taking care of your own future. Yes, you desire to take care of your own kids, but here's how at least I hope you do. But here's the kicker with that. Okay, I was taught growing up, don't discuss your adult finances with the kids. It's too much stress. Well, you think it's stress for the kid while you've got a handle on it. Watch what happens if you don't teach them and then you cut them loose in the real world. Okay, and I see this all the time. The kids go out, they don't know how to deal with what they're working with, and then they run into similar problems that you did because they don't have the guidance. Now, for you, it is absolutely imperative. Taking a look at those finances, get the savings aside, start looking at your retirement. Now, I can't give you the numbers on how much you need to keep X amount of money going. I can tell you that standing on it, and getting on it now, you can set a nice pattern in order. You can buffer things properly so that you will be able to relax as you get older. Now, the reality of finance is this. We are still talking it being the backbone of the house. Okay. But you've got to have your savings in place. You've got to have your utilities and all of that covered. And like I said, the reason you target the smaller bills, okay, the smallest interest accruing debt that you've got. Okay, the reason for that is because by doing so, you reduce the problem. Okay, by doing so, you kill off one debt at a time, and as you get it killed off, you've got more to take care of the bigger bills. But the thing is, mentally speaking, it is easier to cope with one big bill than it is to cope with 15 little ones. I know this from practical experience. At one point I had in excess of what? Probably 25 smaller bills. Okay, the method I'm talking about worked perfectly. I'm down to one big bill. And within the next month, that'll be gone, likely within the next couple of days here. Okay, hopefully within the week. I don't know. It depends on when the money comes in that I know is coming. And of course, as I'm taking care of these things, okay, yes, I have made some serious mistakes. I'm not the smartest person on the planet. I am not somebody like Warren Buffett who understands all the ins and outs of it. All I know is this. If you pay attention to your spending, And as it was put to me one day, avoid credit if at all possible. Avoid it like the plague. Okay, if at all possible. If you have to borrow it, make sure you're already aware of how you're going to catch up. Okay, and like I said, the thing with credit is this. If you've got a credit card, get it paid off to start with, and then never go above 10% of the value of that card. In my case, I've got $7,500 clear and credit rate and credit limit. So from here, as soon as this card gets paid completely off, it will never again go over $750 use. Okay, unless it's absolutely critical, at which point I will stop spending until it's back under the 750. This way, it keeps the sales in check. Now, I mentioned this briefly yesterday. Okay, or 2 days ago. One of the best ways that I found that I heard anybody saying they came up with it on their own. They had 4 credit cards, and they couldn't seem to get a handle on any of it. So I didn't tell them this. They actually told me this was their solution, and I'm simply passing it on. They had 4 credit cards. All were pretty full. 3 of them, the 3 largest ones, they put in a plastic baggie, and then they stuck that in a bucket of water and froze the water solid. Now they put it in the plastic baggie to protect the card. Okay. But as they put it, by freezing it solid, if they ever got the urge to use it, it would take them 2 days to actually get the card back. And by then, they were over the urge. Now, to me, this was a brilliant maneuver. I had a similar problem where it came to going out to restaurants. As I said, I don't like cooking. So prior to the COVID passport, I was spending $300 to $400 a month on restaurant bills. Now this is absolutely stupid. But when the passport came out, because I refused to get vaccinated, okay, I went, no, I'm not doing it. But that meant I couldn't go out to the restaurants. And I'll tell you, in the last few months, I have saved probably in excess of $2,000. Net result, I'm almost debt free. Okay. And in point of fact, I will be debt free very shortly. And from there, we will start talking about how to build that. Now, I'm not a millionaire. There's a lot of people out there that have written great books that have come up with great ideas on how to make money. If you have $30,000 or $40,000 to start with. Well, let's be clear. I don't know about you, but I don't make $40,000 in a year. Okay, so with that in mind, I can't put that kind of money to use. But what I'm working on, I'm actually writing a book about it, okay, is on how to take what little money you have and make it grow. Now, the funny part about it is it won't grow in huge leaps and bounds. But the fact is, if it grows, even if it's only growing at 1 penny a month, you're still growing. And this is when we're talking finance, we're talking the long game. Okay. Now, how do you deal with it when you're looking at in today's world, it's a complete wreck. How do you deal with the cost of gas? You can't get away from it. They're not going to give you a break on it. Okay. The gas companies certainly aren't going to bring gas prices down anytime soon. I mean, they do. Okay, don't get me wrong. I've watched the gas companies drop prices. This is why it fluctuates. How they figure it out, I don't know. What I do know is that I don't agree with the way they're doing it. Okay, primarily because from my understanding, they've got about a 6-month backlog, a 6-month supply, which means a war today or a supply problem today does not have an instant impact on their available product. Okay. Now, in all fairness, and I just thought about this just now, It may be a question of, okay, there's a problem happening here. Never mind the fact we've got a stockpile. This tells us, here's a good marker to say, bring the prices up so that we don't deplete that. That might be what they're working on. And if that's the case, then it's not a bad system. Okay, and yes, that does sound like I just said they're doing a terrible thing, and not really. The problem is, when you're looking at a situation, you have to look at both sides of the equation. In all fairness, you have to look at all three: the positive, the negative, and the neutral. Now, I only follow three laws, okay, and those are the three karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Now, everything I've come across can be broken down into patterns of three. Okay, and when we're taking a look at when we're looking at your finances, yes, you've got to have a look at where they're going. Didn't bring my water with me today, or my coffee for that matter. You've got to know where your finances are standing, where they're coming from, and where they're going. If you have all those three pieces of information in place, you can make your money work properly. Now, like I said, the reality is that I came here to pass on a simple message. Working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. This said, if you've got questions, if you've got comments, I'd love to hear them in the comments below this video. If you've got questions, ask away. If you'd like to ask a question that you don't want the rest of the world to know about, then send me a private message at any one of the contact points below this video. I will do my best to get back to you. Okay. Or as has happened in a couple of cases, I will take that question and do a backbone video on it. I will still end up answering your question and then tell you, I did the rest of it. Here's the basics. I did the rest of it in the video because there was so much information that went with it that this is the best way I could come up with to do it. Now, on that note, I will be back again tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.